And, I was going through your profile, and I think one thing that struck me with your profile is the fact that you have 17 years in the hospitality sector. And that's the first part. That's what I want to start with. You know, the 17 years of you in the hospitality business. But before that, let me quickly introduce you to my guest. And of course, you're going to do a bit of your own introduction as well. So this is an amazing woman that has 17 years of experience in the hospitality sector here in Canada. She is, I would want to call her a resilience coach. She's very heavy on meditation. She, trains people to be mindful. And if you're looking for somebody who, has that positive aura, would help you not just with your career, but also encourage you to stay positive, she is your go-to person. And beyond that, she's also the recipient of the Universal Women Transformation Award. I hope I got that right. That also caught my attention when I read your profile. I'm like, whoa, she has gone through life full circle.
Had some experience.
So, yes. And experience is everything. And I want to believe that the 17 years of experience that you have, of course, in some way also, transformed into who you are right now. Because for every part of our journey, it makes us who we are. For every time you accomplish a milestone, there's something new added to you. You become stronger, you learn more. And of course, you also make room for other people as you're going through your journey. So please do us the honors of introducing yourself. Let us meet you.
Thank you so much, Esther. And thank you so much for, looking into my history and knowing all those things. I very much honor and appreciate your time in doing that. 17 years in hospitality. It was a wild career. Since 2005, I was in the hospitality industry. And what actually happened was I ended up getting involved in a franchise here in Western Canada, a very young franchise at kind of its inception. And so I had this really incredible opportunity to grow with this franchise. And so for about the last decade of my career with them, I was the director of leadership and in the organization. And so that's really a lot of this learning came in for me and how I kind of have come to where I am now. I spent a lot of time working with senior level leaders, helping them learn what they could be capable of, getting them into roles that, impacted their lives and made their lives better. And now I run a company called The Inspired Leader, which has just been an incredible adventure. I always say, if you would have asked me 5 years ago if I would have left hospitality, I would have been like, no way. There is no way. But I felt a calling. I started being asked by other people, how are some of the things that I was doing in Original Joe's, in the restaurants, and recognized that it didn't exist in a lot of other companies, and a lot of other people were looking for these skills and these ways of looking at things to help them improve their businesses. So that's what kind of brought me to where I am here today. Short version.
Good, precise, powerful, and impactful. So I want to ask you, being the founder of Inspired Leadership, is it Inspired Leadership or Inspired Leaders? How has the journey been, evolving from working in a space with a team and you helping create other teams and, businesses and developing projects, to you having your own projects now and also being the project manager of your own thing? How does it feel? You're just evolving from, I would say, a business owner, from working for other people, with other people for 17 years, to now saying, listen, all this experience that I've got, I'm putting it into my own thing. It's about time. So how does it feel? What was the process like for you, evolving into a business owner?
Oh, wow. It has been a journey. I think for me, Esther, one of the big things right now that I could say about where I'm at is that I do miss the team. I miss people. I think connection is what a really great business is built on. And so like when I saw you were doing this, I want to come chat with you because I just want to connect, right? So I think, you know, that's a piece that I'm missing. I've been working and building a team with the Inspired Leader. So I currently have people that are working with me now. So I'm starting that journey again. But the original Joe's team was 350 people. So that was a whole different ball game, right? And so I think it's really interesting when you think about business and the inception, because I was definitely very close to the inception of Original Joe's too, of how that just transforms over time and how we can really build these connections in this community. And so I'm feeling really inspired and grateful to kind of be at this ground level again, this root base again, and being able to reestablish something new and something beautiful and something connected for me in this next chapter of my life. So
that sounds good. And, you know, I love the fact that you said, you know, it feels good for you to be at the ground level again. You know, it's like now a learning curve for you to use your years of expertise to support other people, right? It's not just you being new in the business, it is you having the expertise to say, listen, I've done that, did it. So now I want to pour into other people. So that takes me to the topic of today, which is overcoming adversity, you know. And I want to ask you, was there any point in your life that you had to overcome adversity? And how did you face that season head on to be who you have today?
Well, I'll start by saying I've overcome many adversities in my life, 100%. I think we all have our story. You know, I often talk about this as leaders, as business owners, especially as women. We all have in our lives and things that have transpired that have created, you know, challenges for us and created adversities in our lives. And if I was to pick one for you today, I would say a big adversity for me in my life was learning how to become a leader, how to become a business owner, how to actually take care of people and create an experience at work that meant something, because that was really important to me. And I learned that lesson the hard way. I went through a lot of adversity. I was very young when I started in business. I do not have a business degree. I have the degree of life experience. And so that in itself required a lot of learning, a lot of falling down, a lot of mistakes. And I often think back to some really pivotal moments in my career where I came to a place, or like a crossroads, so to speak, that I recognized that if I didn't start to find ways to level up, to look at things differently, that I would never achieve the things I wanted to achieve. I'll tell you a really quick story, just kind of case in point that always comes up when this question comes up for me. But there was a day at Original Joe's early on in the restaurants. And so for anybody who's watching this who is in hospitality, you would know that holidays, like a holiday weekend, is really busy on the Monday. Nobody's at work, so everybody comes into the restaurant. And so what had ended up happening was I had not scheduled enough team that particular Monday, and I was the leader. And it was really slow. It didn't happen. People didn't come through the doors. And so I sent some of the team home, and it was even, you know, so I was even more short staffed. And then it got super busy, like restaurant full, lined up out the door. There was only me and another team member in there. And I remember at the end of the day, I won't go into all the details because it was a terrible experience, but I remember at the end of the day sitting out back in tears thinking, what am I doing? You know, like I ruined the experience today for all of the people who were the chefs in my kitchen, my team in the front of house, the guests who came into the restaurant. And I just felt the weight of this responsibility on me, and knew that if I didn't find ways to start changing the way I saw things, that I wasn't going to be able to show up in the way I wanted to as a leader. And so that was a really pivotal day for me, Esther. I remember going back inside and apologizing to the team and personally talking to each person and saying, you know, I messed up big time today and I own this. And this is like, this is a really big deal for me. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure this doesn't happen again. And it was really hard for me. There was a lot of humility because, you know, you kind of want to run away and hide when something like that happens. And so I started to learn that to overcome the adversities that I was going to face in my life required humility. It required the ability to show up, and it required me being willing to find ways to level up and look at life differently. And so that's a pivotal early one for me, that really came up and changed, at least changed who I was as a leader.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you for sharing that beautiful. And I love the part of self-accountability. You addressing it with a team and just being honest and transparent to say, yes, I messed up today, but tomorrow is going to be a better day. And I'm sure, I mean, it made them feel good as well. Just you know, walking up to them and having that conversation with them. You know, so thank you so much for sharing that. In my head, while you were sharing, I was trying to visualize you going to these people one after the other to say, listen, this happened today. It was beyond me totally. But then we still nailed it. We still killed it. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So what are some of the strategies, you know, for somebody who is going to watch this at any point, because it's going to be posted on my YouTube channel as well. If you could speak to a person who is dealing with adversity, any form of adversity right now, what are some of the strategies, you know, that you have explored that worked for you that you're going to share with that person?
Yeah, that sounds good. I will say, I mean, I shared a professional example there, but I will say most of the adversity I have faced has been in my personal life. Adversities I think we will face in our lives, and they become really challenging because they can really take us down, right? They can really put us in a place where everything feels chaotic around us. We're not really sure how to show up. We're not really sure what to do. We're not really sure what to say. And so when we're facing adversity in work, I think that's great practice. But when it comes to life and the adversities that all of us will face in life, how we show up for those really do matter. And so a lot of things that at least I have tried personally, and I definitely talk to people when I'm working about these, but I'm very much a woman of experience. So I will need to experience this for myself first before I share it with somebody else. But a lot of the that have personally worked for me have been practicing mindfulness, number one. So as you kind of already mentioned, I'm really big on this. I'm a certified meditation teacher. I'm certified in heart math, personal resilience. And so I really believe in this connection between our hearts. I'm doing this backwards, between our minds and our hearts, and the ability we have to listen to our bodies and the signals that they send. And when adversity enters our life, I truly believe that our nervous system knows what to do. Often we're so caught up here that it's really challenging, and we can get caught in the stories and everything else that's going on. And so when we can take the time to like really just reconnect with our hearts, it's so powerful. And so there's a whole bunch of different, I can get really granular about that if you want, but there's a bunch of different ways that we can do that. But I think the real power is connecting with our heart and our soul and who we are as a person, and recognize that no matter what adversity comes our way, if we've got this, we've got this, you know? And that's not downplaying adversity, because people, I know people, you know people who have faced worse adversities than we will ever face in our entire lives. And so we have to honor it. But I do think the pulling through, the coming through is a choice that we make and make in our lives.
Great. One thing, my take home from that is mindfulness. I'm very, very conscious of mindfulness, being in the moment, letting things go. I mean, like I said, I would not want to call it a chaotic week, but it was quite chaotic. And I just had to sit down to say, what is important to me in this moment? What is the most important? What is that thing that if I don't do by the end of this week, I have to, move it over to next week, and I don't want that. So I have to start from that, and that's a stage of self-awareness and mindfulness. And I love that you shared that as a strategy to overcome adversity. So the next question I have for you is, when people are going through adversity, they're going through difficult times, they have self-doubt, sometimes the energy is depleted. So how do they overcome, this stage when they're going through adversity? Because of course, sometimes when you tell people, be mindful or meditate, they're like, nah, that doesn't work for me. So how do we deal with self-doubt and negative thought when we're facing difficult times?
Yeah, I think that this is the most challenging part, as you said, and it's once that the self-doubt and the negative thoughts come in, that's when our energy tanks, right? And that's when it's difficult. I'm not actually an advocate of telling people to meditate because I actually think meditation is a commitment. Mindfulness, on the other hand, being present, is something we can do right now in the moment. And so when we're talking about that self-doubt and those thoughts and that energy drain, what I always say is to try to find things that bring you joy. Now, even in moments of adversity, even in the worst moments of our lives, we can usually find something that either A, makes us happy, or B, we can express gratitude for. And I really believe that those are like some of the higher vibrational states. And when we can be in those states, then we can start to bring our energy back. We can start to change the way we're thinking. It's very hard to be in a place lack when you're grateful, right? Or scarcity when you're in joy. And so they're kind of complete opposite ends of the spectrum. Now, is it easy to go there? No, not always easy. And only you know the things that bring you joy in your life. But if you're sitting here and you're watching this today and you're thinking, oh, I'm just in like a really hard time in my life and I'm not seeing the light, maybe joy is just eating some ice cream or petting your dog or hanging out with your daughter, or, just a couple moments. We can experience these like now in the moment, and they can really start to shift perspective. And so that's a really real time strategy that I think works really well.
Yeah. And I hear you when you say maybe you need ice cream. I had one of those moments this week. I went out with my daughters. They said they wanted something. I went to the store. They were someplace in the store as well. So while I was ordering stuff for them, I just was like, "Do you have ice cream?" The lady looked at me and said, "Yes." Like, okay, please, can I have the ice cream first when I wait for the order? Yeah. So I sat down there, and my children were looking at me. I'm like, "Girls, you know what? I'm learning how to enjoy life while I'm taking care of you girls." Totally. And they both looked at me, and I said, "Yeah." I said, because I felt like having ice cream. I just realized, listen, you're going to order this food. You might not even eat the food, but then you feel like taking ice cream. And that made me realize that oftentimes we're always hard on ourselves as people. We're so hard that we forget that we deserve the love and affection that we pour into the people who are around us, our family, our friends, our children, our pets, whatever love that we give to other people. The moment we can give that love, that same portion of love to ourselves, I think overcoming adversity will be a little bit, it's going to be a little bit easier, because then you have shown yourself a percentage of love to know this is just a phase. Yeah. It's going to pass. So thank you for sharing that. So personally, for you, what are some of the lessons, you've learned from overcoming adversity? Some of those major life lessons that you learned at every point you overcome any adversity at all.
Okay, so big one. Every time I face adversity in my life, what's on the side of it is always more beautiful. So to sit in comfort, to sit in the muck, to say, okay, I'm going to experience this really terrible thing that's happening in my life, and I'm going to be with it, and I'm going to move through it, is so powerful, because you evolve as a human being every single time, like no question. And I think that's what brings me to where I am now and allows me to do what I do, is my willingness. I don't even know if it's an ability. I think it's just my willingness to sit in the discomfort and say, okay, this is a really hard time in my life. I'm experiencing loss. I'm experiencing grief. I'm experiencing whatever's coming up for me, and allowing myself to be in that for some time. And the evolution is incredible. That's a huge learning. I think I also, maybe not in the time when adversity is happening, I'm not sure if I'm as confident as I could be, but afterwards, I think my confidence is stronger too, because I then am able to say to myself, I got this. I was able to get through that. If you're able to get through that, you can get through this, right? And you start to have those self-reflections. And I think that's a really beautiful thing, because you start to see yourself in a different light and have more confidence and more courage. And you're more willing to maybe take some more risks in your life and show up a little differently. But I'd say
Amazing.
a really big one.
Yeah. 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 And that's a big one. You know, it still circles back to mindfulness, right? Because I think it plays a huge role. You being mindful, you being in control of your thoughts and your emotions when you're going through or dealing with adversity, and also giving yourself grace. Because we don't do that a lot. Yeah, you know, the power to give you. I was speaking with someone today, and she said, I give myself grace. She said it 2 times during the conversation. And at the end of the conversation, I told her, I said, you know what I'm taking out of this conversation? The fact that at every point you feel that you didn't do something right. She said, Esther, but I gave myself grace. And then she would say something else, and then she would go, Esther, but I give myself grace.
Yeah.
And it's really powerful for you to get to a stage where you know you are human. You're not perfect. You can't always get it right. You make mistakes, you fail, but you know what matters is for you to pick yourself back up, you know, and just keep pushing. So my next question is, I mean, you've had to relate to a lot of people, you've trained people, you've supported people. What part of your job, you know, really touches a nerve in you? You know, you have that 17 years of experience, you are the meditation coach. So which one of the skills really just ground you, make you feel really grateful? Because I know we can have 1,000,001 skills, but one of those skills will just keep you going. So which one of it keeps you going? Which one of that, you know, is it the one that makes you pay it forward? Is it the one that makes you engage people and encourage them? Which one of it?
Well, where my brain's going with this question is like a strategy. So I have a strategy that I use that really keeps me grounded. Would you like me to teach it to you?
Yes.
It's very simple. And I use it all the time myself, and I always share it with my clients. And I think it's so powerful. And this keeps me grounded, and this keeps me centered. So I call it the 1, 2, 3 reset. And so it's working with the messages in your body to come back to presence, to come out of fight or flight, to come to a place where you can move from the back scary part of your brain to the, make it very easy to understand, the front calm part of your brain where you can be rational. And so it's so simple. So we'll do it together. How does that sound?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So all you're going to do is you're going to take a nice deep breath in through your nose. So we'll go in. Then you're going to sigh it out nice and loud. And then you're going to go back in through your nose. And now we're going to go out through like pursed lips, through like a straw. And then you're going to go in through your nose and out through your nose. And it's like literally that simple, but I'm sure you can feel it in your body right now. And so you soothe your nervous system, even your eyes. I can see it in your eyes, and I always see it. You can probably see it in mine too. But it's like an instant relax. It's an instant. You probably can't see my hands on Instagram, but it's an instant, like from up here to down here, right? And so it's just such a beautiful way to come back to presence, to reframe, to decide how you want to show up, and to get grounded. And so that's a strategy that I use all of the time. And it's been really powerful for me and helping me show up, lead, coach, mentor, train, right? All of it. Yeah.
I feel good. You know, I told you that. I think I'm gonna have to watch this again and practice this over and over again. You know, I know about the breathing thing. Oftentimes, you know, you'd say breathe in and breathe out, but this is a bit different because I'm breathing through my nose. You know, I'm taking it out with my mouth. I'm taking it in my nose. I'm taking it down from my nose again, and I could feel that sense of relief. You know, in the moment, just me understanding that. Listen, just calm down. Just just calm down, you know. So thank you for sharing that. So while you were going through, you know, your own, whenever you go through your adversity, what are some of the support system or resources your go-to? You know, who are the people or what are the resources that you explore during this moment?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously friends and family, of course, right? So anytime you can connect with people that you love when you're going through
Mm-hmm,
adversity, I think it's so powerful. If you have
mm-hmm,
somebody in your circle whose shoulder you can just cry on,
mm-hmm,
or who will be there, who will listen unconditionally, who will hold space for you, that's so powerful.
mm-hmm,
Outside of that, I am a big advocate of coaches and therapy, and, you know, finding people who are professionals in these spaces that can help you navigate the adversity that you're going through. While they may not always have the same experience, they've been
mm-hmm.
trained to ask the questions to help, what I say, help you see around your corners, right? So
Yes.
we all have this lens that we see the
Mm-hmm.
world, right?
Yes.
Aperture. Sometimes it's wider, and when we go through adversity, it narrows, right? We get really narrow focused. And so if we
Mm-hmm.
can have somebody in our lives that helps us re-expand that lens, start to see the things that bring us joy, that bring us gratitude, the things that are still good in our lives, it can start to move us out of that state and into a better place. And so I think that's a really good support system to access as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, family and friends, obviously. You know, that's always my own first go-to.
Yeah.
My mom or my sister, and then I'm very heavy on affirmations as well. I love affirmations. I love it.
Mhm.
I mean, I there is just this innate feeling it gives to me when I'm going through something and I can say, I am overcoming this, I have overcome, I am powerful, I am strong, God has great plans for me. You know, it doesn't make the problem go away, but in that moment, it's just me, my mind, and my head saying, this is just temporary. So, I mean, it goes back to what you said about mindfulness. And um, I want to ask you, when you received the award for the transformational leader at the Universal Women's Award, how did you feel?
Oh my goodness.
And how did you make you feel, you know, being recognized at that capacity? How did it make you feel?
Uh, it it actually made me feel really grateful. Like, I remember I woke up the next day and I was like, did that actually happen? So what actually happened was the year before I was nominated as well, and I didn't
Mhm,
win. And that was fine. And I was actually like, that's great, there was all these amazing women and they won. And then I get nominated again the next year, and I was like, oh gosh, I don't know, like, you know, like, it's just like, do I just keep, you know, being nominated or whatever? And I had gotten to a place in my head where I was like, there are so many amazing women here, like so many. And so I was just feeling so honored to be there. And so in my head, I was just kind of like, you're nominated again. You probably won't win. Right. I was kind of in that headspace about it. And then when I won, I was like, holy smokes, like, this is crazy. And to win an award that is like the transformational leader,
mhm.
it just speaks volumes to the work that I do, and my mission and my purpose in my career. And yeah, it just felt really, really, really good, and a really good reminder that I was on the right path.
Great,
So the Universal
great.
Women's Network is amazing. I was so
Yes,
grateful for that experience. Yeah.
beautiful. And, you know, I love it when women are recognized
Yeah.
for their efforts. I love when women feel seen and heard, especially when they put in the work. And, you know, I could see, you know, your face, how grateful you are to have been recognized for doing the work that you do. And it's amazing when, you know, you put in such effort and you're being recognized. And the fact that you were nominated the previous year and then it came back to you in 2022, it's the power of resilience. And that's why I tell people, don't stop trying.
Yeah.
Keep trying because people are watching. So thank you for sharing that. Speaking of the award, though, who are some of the women who inspire you? Are there women who inspire you?
At the awards or just in general?
Just in general, like
yeah.
maybe 2 or 3 women. You know, I often ask women this question, and that's because when we're growing up, they would ask us, "Which a role model?" And then you're quick to give it a name, right? But these days, I love to ask women, you know, who are the women who inspire you? Not just one person. Who is that woman who is like your go-to person? You want to just read something from her to get inspired, or it might just be someone in your family who is just that person who, you know, a vision board of what you look for, what to look like in life.
Yeah.
So who are these women?
So one of the first women who inspired me was my grandma. We're Scottish, so she was the wee granny. She passed away about 5.5 years ago now, so she's been gone for a little while. But when I was young, my parents divorced when I was 7, and my father left and didn't come back. And so another adversity, but my granny stepped in and was there for us every day after school and really just like helped raise us. And I just always admired her tenacity and her ability to show up for us. I think when I was young, I thought, she just like, this is what she has to do. But that's not what she had to do. She made that choice to show up for us, me and my sister. So I have a sister. She made that choice to show up for us every day. And looking back, I have so much gratitude for her. Other women that inspire me, there's a woman that I've been working with for 10 years. Her name's Krista Tupala. And she actually is the new director of the Original Joe's organization. So she overtook my role. I mentored her for the last 18 months to go into the Inspired Leader and to see the growth that this woman has gone through and the experiences that we've gone through together. I just often think of, like, look at her or see her, and I just think I am so grateful to have her in my life, and I'm so proud of everything she's done, and she's just completely inspiring. So she's beautiful. And then a couple high profile women that I just like aspire to, that I absolutely love. Number 1 is Oprah. Since I was a little girl, I love everything about Oprah. I know way too much about her, so I could talk about her for way too long. Her School for Girls, the whole thing. I love her. And then another one is Brene Brown. I really admire how she's not afraid to talk about vulnerability and shame, and she's bringing light to things in the world that I think are raising our level of consciousness. They're changing the way we show up as people. And I just think she's doing some really beautiful work. So I really admire her as well. How about you? Can I ask you the question? I know you're the interviewer.
That makes it 2 of us. I was going to say Oprah.
Okay.
So I, being in the media, every time they ask me that question, I don't think twice. I just thought I'm Oprah. And you know why? When I was a young girl, my mom introduced me to the media from a very young age. So my mom would go to work, and there are 3 major magazines that come out in my own home country every Tuesday. So my mom would buy this, newspaper and magazines for me, bring it home. And believe me, Ellie, I'm going to read from front to the back. And I will give my mom a report of everybody's gist, everything they wrote. Like, she will just look at me amazed. And then that was, the first stage of me being introduced to Oprah. And then watching her show and just seeing how she evolved over the years, right? And just evolving and raising other women, giving other women a platform, being seen, being heard. It's easy for you to walk through life and not raise other women, to be honest. There are a lot of successful women out there and they're not bad people, who invest in their career, invest in other things, but not other people. They're not bad people. However, Oprah has raised other women. She gives room for other women to thrive. It's amazing.
Beautiful.
I've been watching the snippet from The Color Purple, and you would see how she went pull out this amazing Black women from Fantasia to Taraji. It's just so inspiring, meaning she goes, listen, I don't want the spotlight alone. We can share the spotlight together, right? And so Oprah is one. Of course, my mom is number one. And that's because, my mom inspired me from when I was a young girl, like I said. So whatever interest I have in the media now, wherever I am now, it is because my mom unconsciously built that in me. She did not know she was preparing me for something higher than me in the future. She was just buying those magazines, buying the newspaper. She would say, Esther, come and read it to me. And I would sit on the floor sometimes in front of her, I would sit beside her, and I would tell her exactly what was in there, give her a report. And it became a part of me. So when I got into the university, I was on my own. Whenever I'm going to school, I'll pick up magazines, I'll take it to school. So anyone who lived with me, during my university days would tell you I had this much piles of magazines. You can't come to my room and be bored. There is something to read, from Ebony to Excess, and those magazines were quite expensive in my own country. So I would save money.
Yeah.
I would save up, and when I evolved into the media, right. So there was another woman in the media as well, that I met in the media who just told me, listen, I know you're passionate about this. I am ready to create room for you. I'm your go-to person. Bounce it off me. If you feel confused, if there's anything you need clarity on, just bounce it on. So these women, played huge role, especially my mom, and she didn't know. The other day I was telling her, I said, do you realize that this journey I'm on right now, you started it? You didn't know. So every money you invested in those magazines, I am your return on investment. And she was quiet on the phone. She said, wow, I didn't think. I said, yes. You were just doing what you wanted to do because you realized that I loved reading magazines. You realized that I loved news. I loved fact checking. And then you groomed me from that young age to be mindful and, want to know more. And now I've built my own brand to also give women visibility, to support women, because somebody trained me to know that the sky is wide for everybody.
Yeah.
And we can all shine, we can all be successful, we can all win. So yeah, so when you mentioned Oprah, you see my face just lit up.
Well, okay, I have a couple thoughts on that too. So your mom is a beautiful example of how women lift other women.
Yes.
Like, wow, that's so beautiful.
Yes.
I love that story so much.
Yeah. She didn't know. I didn't even realize it until I started writing for a newspaper in my country. And I didn't know what was pushing me, right? Like just that nudge to do something. And when I went to the news, I always tell people my story, like me being in the media, me being in journalism, is just grace. And of course, the fact that I groomed myself over the years, I learned on the job. So the passion opened the way for me. But what is keeping me inside now, it is a resilient spirit that my mom built in me from a young age. So I wouldn't, yeah. So, I mean, it's so beautiful. And then to now watch, she would give me time to watch Oprah at home. I watch Oprah. My mom would call and say, oh, Esther, your favorite TV show is on. Come watch it. And I would sit, I can tell you some episode of Oprah when she gave people a car on her show, the way I screamed, and when she gave people that Ford car, and when she would bring some very beautiful guests on her show, I could actually mimic some of the things they say.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So, I would say that my mom helped me to be meticulous to details, to read. She also helped me find my purpose early in life, but I didn't realize that was what she was doing, so, and I hope that as a mother myself, that I would be the light to, to support my children, whatever they want to do, because we never can tell. So yeah, thank you for asking me. So I feel
yeah. Oh, it's so good to hear it. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. And for Oprah, I mean, I think a lot of people in the world, for me, I've spotlighted and interviewed over 1,000 women. And I can tell you authoritatively that at least 80% of those women mention Oprah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every time I ask them.
Yeah.
who inspire you? It's Oprah. Who
Yeah.
is Oprah? And there can never be another Oprah, but I hope that we have more women, Black women, white women, whatever color, Hispanic, come up, and support people like Oprah has done, because we need that in the world. We need more people like that in the world. We need people who are going to raise the voices of women all over the world. Yeah.
Yes, I love it so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for asking. So, just before we wrap up, I just want to ask about your organization. There might be people who are going to watch this on YouTube. They want to reach out to you. So what are some of the services, that you render in your organization as far as coaching goes and what you do basically?
Yeah, sounds good. So so the Inspired Leader, it's kind of an all-encompassing company. So right now I'm doing a lot of speaking. So I've been doing a lot of events, women's conferences, things like that, which has been incredibly fulfilling, but also completely petrifying. So that's another adversity I've been overcoming. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of speaking. I am a ICF certified coach. I'm working towards my master's certification in coaching. And so my general client is a female or a female identified entrepreneur or a leader. And that's been really beautiful and fulfilling. And then I also do a lot of workshops. So I work with organizations and I go in, and because of my experience with Original Joe's and the culture building and the team building, I do a lot of like leadership workshop and team building workshops, different kind of content that I've built over the last decade that I deliver, and just help people have, again, that better experience at work, right? Try to create a better environment at work, create more cohesiveness, work with these hybrid teams and all of this kind of stuff right now. And I really love that as well, because it kind of keeps me engaged in that business world on a different level as well. So those are the kind of three aspects or three avenues that I'm working in.
Oh, yeah, beautiful. So if somebody needs a speaker at their event, you're available for that. So what is the best way to reach you for anyone who would watch this, later on and they want to reach out to you for any of the services that you mentioned? How can they reach out to you?
Yeah, well, if you're catching this on Instagram, you can find me at @AllieStone__. But the best way is to visit The Inspired, www.theinspiredleader.com.
Okay.
That's my website. You can connect with me on there, and you can find kind of all the offerings and learn a little bit more about me and what I do. And one other thing, Esther, that I think is probably worth mentioning here, as we've been kind of talking about inspiring women. One thing I do every year with The Inspired Leader is, for an entire calendar year, I will sponsor a woman 100% who could not otherwise afford to work with me. And I do start that in January. So I'll be putting applications out in the next month or so for next year. So if you're watching this, know that that's an opportunity. That's on my website. It'll go out on Instagram. And then I just do some interviews and select a woman. And so I've been working currently with a woman for, 7 months right now, and she's incredible. We've had an incredible experience. So that's a really neat opportunity for somebody who just might think that, coaching isn't accessible for them. I just want to help as many women as possible. Lift, rise, see their fullest potential. So
yeah, thank you for sharing that. I'm going to get the link from you and add it to the YouTube description of the video when it's posted on YouTube, since it's still open for next year, so I believe a lot of people would want to explore that. So thank you for paying it forward. That's amazing. I love when people pay it forward, and like I said, maybe that's the Oprah thing working.
I think it is. I'm going to give it back to Oprah.
Maybe that's the Oprah thing. Yeah, the joy, the innate joy that comes from just giving back, wanting to help other people and seeing them grow. So if you're watching this, or you're going to watch on my YouTube channel, explore this. I'm going to share the link, on YouTube. So you might want to follow this video on my YouTube channel as well, and just click on the link, apply. You might be the lucky person. And please make use of the opportunity very well. I always tell people, when you get something for free, it is more reason why you should take it more important, because other people pay hugely for it, but it's coming to you for free. So appreciate it. if you are chosen, right? And I would be glad if it's someone who watched the show today that is
That would
chosen. I
be
would be
really
very, very happy.
I'll circle back
So
and tell you if it is.
I'd appreciate that. I'd appreciate that. So before we end the conversation, for anyone who would watch this, later, or for anyone who is watching right now, and they feel down, they've been through maybe a lot of chaos, they feel nothing good is going to come out of their life again. What would you say to this person in this moment to encourage them and help them see the light again?
I think I would say that it's okay where you're at. As you said, have some grace, but also remember that life is always in flux. It's always changing, it's always evolving, and that's one of the really beautiful parts of it. And so this will pass at some point, and you will be a better, stronger, more resilient person because of it.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. You'll be a stronger and more resilient person out of it. I wish to see that on a billboard. We need more positive billboards around town, wherever we are domiciled. Just you walking out of your house, driving by, and just seeing that billboard up there. Brands need to get more creative in not making it self, but also understanding the customer need, because the customer that wants to buy from you might be down. So I think the world needs to evolve to a point where there are more encouraging words that we see, that, just like what you just said now.
Be
Right.
so, yeah.
Thank you so much.